Have you ever come across a deal that seemed too good to be true? Well, recently I bought an oak table from a charity shop. At first glance I could see why no one else had purchased it. It was a bit worn and it was a bit broken in places. But I was confident I could fix it up. So after getting it home, I took it apart, I grabbed my sander and my tools and I got to work. However, something unexpected happened. Whilst working on a particularly rough corner, I sanded too much and I discovered that what I thought was solid oak was actually a thin veneer. You've probably heard the saying, pride comes before a fall. But in my case, it was more about rushing in without fully considering what I was doing. Something I've done more times than I'd like to admit. After some additional work and several coats of polish, I'm happy to say the table doesn't look too bad. The very next day, I was reading Joshua chapter 9. In this chapter, the Gibeonites trick the Israelites into making a peace treaty by pretending to be from a distant land. They wear old clothes and they bring stale provisions to deceive Joshua and the leaders. Without seeking guidance from God, Joshua makes a deal with them. When the truth is revealed, the Israelites must honour the treaty, facing the consequences of their rushed decision. Now, I'm not saying I should have sought divine guidance before sanding my table, but the situation made me reflect on how easy it is to rush into things, thinking we know better, only to realise later that we didn't see the full picture. My table will always have a noticeable mark now, a reminder of my haste. It's not really a big deal, it's just a second-hand table. But there are times in life when things really do matter. There are consequences to decisions we make, and often we live with these consequences for years. I've seen all too often the pain poor decisions can leave people with. I'm sure you can think of some yourself. I know that I have some. We probably all have moments that we wish we could do over. That's why the lesson from Joshua chapter 9 is so important. The Israelites were deceived into making a peace treaty because they acted quickly, relying on appearance instead of seeking God's guidance. They didn't pause to ask for direction, and as a result, they had to live with the outcome. It's a reminder that when we face big decisions, we should take the time to seek God's wisdom. He sees the bigger picture, the things that we often miss in our haste. After all, the consequences of our actions are often far more reaching than we realise. Seeking God before we rush in just seems to me a good idea.